used it. Actually, might have used it behind the scenes, but definitely supply chain, right? Had ML backends, right? So it's like, oh, it's nice now. Now we get into some of the ML tooling that we have, for everyone, especially the no code, low code environment where people are just getting started. So welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Absolutely. I mean, I think you nailed it. I think the way I want to talk about when I talk about no code ML is machine learning has been there forever, right? I mean, Amazon, as we know, has been doing machine learning since its inception. We have it on our mothership at Amazon.com. We use machine learning. But what is cool about it is through the years, especially I would say in the last 10 years or so, it's gone mainstream. And what I mean by that is, people, it used to be research labs, the PhDs of the world, more intelligent than I am, who can look at all the algorithms and all the frameworks of machine learning, which is very cool, right? Which is pretty fascinating. But what it has done is it has opened up to use cases outside of research into mainstream. And whether you are into healthcare, whether you are into financial services, whether you're into retail, what have you, right? Machine learning can help you reach your goal, whether it's a business goal, whether it's an academic goal, and that's what we love about machine learning. Having said that, I think we have what we have done in the last, I would say, 18 to 24 months is gone to the next level. Do you really need to know coding? I mean, the previous guest talked a wonderful thing about Spark and pandas, and which I love, but not all of us may be familiar with code, and some of us are business users who look at data on a daily basis. Think of somebody like who's using Excel, right? They may not know coding.
Well, but it even applies in my case. Like there was a lot of discussion about Python in the last two, right? I don't know Python. I'll admit it, right? So when we do some of these ML sessions, there's Python code involved. I can read it, but I don't necessarily understand it. So having these like no or low code solutions helps me learn ML.
Steve feels left out when we're talking about Python.
I'm with you, Steve. I'm not a Python expert. I can read Python, but my son beats me to it. So I'll let him have his share of fun.
So we should probably make a quick step back before we dive into this, and because we have a lot of people watching who may not be even familiar with SageMaker at all. So can we briefly explain what SageMaker is? Because it's been around for a little while, but people still might not be familiar with all of it, and then drill into SageMaker Canvas and what that is.
Absolutely. So SageMaker is 5 years old now. So it's a 5-year-old young person, lady, man, pick your favorite gender, right? So what SageMaker did when we launched is to help our customers. When we started SageMaker, SageMaker was launched in 2017, right? So we said, if you are a data scientist, if you are an ML developer, and how can we provide you with a managed service where you can actually build, train, and deploy models? That's how we started, right? So you can build your data, you can get data into this managed service called Amazon SageMaker. Build your models, machine learning models. Choose your algorithm. Again, targeted towards data scientists, targeted towards the ML practitioner. When we started the journey, right? And then you go on to once you build a model, then what? Then you train the model so that you can absolutely get the results when you want to generate predictions out of the model for your own data. So the model becomes the foundation for you to kind of use it for your use case. Right. So it's always funny. When we started, we said build, train, deploy. That was a mantra going on within the company, and it resonated well with all our customers. They loved it, right? They still love it. But SageMaker has grown leaps and bounds. I can spend all day talking about SageMaker and still fall short, right? It's a suite of services. It's got, I don't know, 25, 30. You guys may know better. 25, 30 capabilities of everything from training, tuning, building, managing, deploying. I can go on and on and on, right? So that's what SageMaker is. And it caters typically to the ML practitioner. But I'll pause there, Steve. I tend to speak fast, so I should slow down.
In fact, the story is interesting because you mentioned earlier on, like I'm going to say ivory tower. Well, I'm going to say ivory tower now because I've just said it. But those ML practitioners, the data scientists, pre-SageMaker, right, who are having to set up all this compute infrastructure, the resources, etc., to do ML work. Then along comes SageMaker, which takes some of that heavy lift away, right? It's a managed service, so on. And now we're rolling into things like SageMaker Canvas, right?
Absolutely. So we lifted the heavy lifting of there, so you don't really need to look at what compute I need. You can scale the way you need it. You could have a model with 100 MB to all the way to petabytes and more, right, with SageMaker. But that's how we did it, and it's growing still, right? We still have a fantastic path ahead for SageMaker, but let's go about 18 months back, right? When we're talking to customers, as I mentioned earlier, hey, I'm not an ML practitioner. I'm somebody who's working with data, right? I'm a business person where I look at data in and out. I have a business problem to solve. And you may ask, what is a business problem? It could be like, I want to look at customer churn. No business wants to lose customers. So I want to preempt that and predict some of that so that I can talk to those customers, address their concerns, and retain them, right? That's a classic business problem across industries, right? If you look at a retail industry, how do I forecast demand? Amazon, we know that very well. I know ups and downs, seasonal demand, or economic conditions may change for a month. How do I forecast the demand so that I don't overbuild my infrastructure or I'm falling short of infrastructure? So that's a business problem. The third one could be a healthcare, where how do I look at readmission of patients, hospital bed utilization? That's a serious problem. I mean, all of us went through a horrific period in the last 2 years. Knock on wood, hopefully we never see that in our lifetime again. And that becomes a serious problem. So these are business users who want to understand, how do I do that? And that's where I want to introduce SageMaker Canvas, where you use machine learning, but you really don't need to code. You just need to know your data, and we'll help you with the machine learning magic in the back end and help you achieve your business outcomes.
It does feel like magic sometimes, doesn't it? Especially, I don't have a deep background in machine learning, so it often looks like magic to me when it happens, but it's not. Like, that's the beauty of it, and it's attainable for people to learn deeper. But before they do, they still want to get the same predictions as the people that already understand deeply these algorithms. Can you walk us through how Canvas actually, helps you to understand when to use which algorithms, when to, are there suggestions on, as you're working with Canvas as a business analyst of what type of algorithm to use with what type of data set you're bringing in and things like that?
Absolutely. I'll show you what I want to show here, especially with respect to, I talked about ML practitioners, I talk about business analysts, but everybody's in the same company. How do they talk to each other? How do
collaboration?
Do you get that collaboration? That's my focus for today in the next 10 minutes, and I'm going to show you show you the magic of that. And before that, what I want to do is, if I may share my screen, and
yes,
you're seeing my screen, I presume.
Not yet. In a moment.
We've got your awesome. PowerPoint.
Awesome. I'm not going to kill you by PowerPoint. I hate death by PowerPoint. I'm going to show you the actual product, but I want to set the stage with a couple of slides. I promise, not too many. Right. So
I'm counting. I'm counting.
So we talked about Canvas. So what does Canvas actually do? Right. The only thing you need to bring in is your data. As I said, you bring in your data. You bring in your tabular data, which is rows and columns. Right. You just bring in. And then I will show you how it is that you click a button and say, hey, Canvas, build this model for me. What Canvas does is it automatically determines what is the kind of problem that you're trying to solve. It could be a binary classification problem. It could be a regression problem. It could be a time series forecasting problem. Now, you don't need to choose the algorithm AM. Canvas does it for you. Again, I said I'm a business analyst. I don't even know what a machine learning algorithm is. Right. Canvas helps me do that automatically. Of course, you have the choice to say that, hey, if you know what, actually you got it wrong, it's not a binary classification problem, it's a regression problem. You have the choice, but 99% we got it right, knock on wood. And then build that and generate predictions for your model. But what I want to talk about today is this whole sharing piece, right? Because what happens a lot of times is I build a model, but is it right? Is it the right model? Can I get some feedback? Can I get somebody to look at it and let me know? And that's where what I want to show is you can share that model seamlessly with somebody on the other side in terms of an ML practitioner who's using SageMaker, the mothership, and what we call here SageMaker Studio, which is the IDE for SageMaker, and get you that feedback. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. The other part is about, we've also heard from customers who are watching here is that, hey, a lot of times models are built outside of Canvas, but can a business analyst take advantage of it, of generating predictions? I don't want to do the hard work of building models. Can you build the model for me, but can you bring it back to Canvas? And that is possible as well. That's what we launched at reInvent, where you can build a model practically anywhere, register into SageMaker and bring it to Canvas, and you can see the analytics of the model in terms of the metrics, the accuracy, and you use that model to generate predictions on your own. So it's a two-way collaboration, literally, whether you start the journey in Canvas and get that feedback from an ML practitioner, or you start the journey with your favorite ML tool and bring it into Canvas for the business user to generate predictions. Questions? Does that make sense? All right.
Made total sense to me. In fact, I can even see the point you were saying about if I'm a business analyst or, I'm just not an ML practitioner, having this resource available that, did I get it right?
Exactly.
I can see the benefit of that.
Yeah. So let's start with a journey where the business analyst has not built a model, right? He wants to leverage models built somewhere else in the company by an expert and say that, hey, can you give me that model to generate predictions on? So this is what I'm showing you here is SageMaker Studio, which is typically for an ML practitioner, where I can build models, I can get into the code, and to your point, I can pick the algorithm here and whatever I want to do, right? Now I have built a bunch of models here to get things going. So I have this customer churn model. I talked about customer churn earlier, where where I want to avoid customer churn, and how do I predict that so that I can take maybe marketing campaigns, maybe incentives for my customer, right? Now I've built this model. It's got all the bells and whistles of a machine learning expert. It talks about a binary classification problem type. It talks about things like F1 scores and all that, which we don't need to go here. And it gives me a list of models because AutoML has generated a bunch of models. What I can do is I can just click on a particular model and I can click share, right? I click on share and I have a bunch of users in my company whom I want to share with. And I say, I want to share with somebody using Canvas. This is my business user. And I can say, hey, check this out for your business problem. That's it. I just do that and I say share, right? And I get a notification that, hey, you have shared your model with the other person, right? Now, before I leave Studio, how do I discover these models? We also have a place where you can view all the shared models, where I can say shared by me, which is I'm going from the ML practitioner to the business user, or the other direction, when I show that, will be shared with me. But that's what is for the discoverability model.
Right.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go into the Canvas side, right? Now I have shared a model. What can the Canvas user do, right? And I get that SageMaker Studio has shared a model with you, right? Now can I view this model? Now I'm going to view this model where I see that it gives me the analytics of the model, where it says that this model predicts 97.95, which is a pretty high accuracy of the model, right? And it gives me what are all the factors that have been taken into the model, evening minutes, charges, area code, international calls, and so on and so forth. I can go ahead and analyze this model. I can change it from true to false. How does it change? I can look at some of the scoring for, if I'm interested in looking at false positives, false negatives, I can look at that. if I'm somebody who is very, very curious into more metrics, maybe I'm an advanced user, I can go into things like F1 score and accuracy, not for the average business analyst perhaps, but there are some smart people out there who want to look at advanced metrics. So I can do that. I can download this. And most importantly, I can now start generating predictions, right? I can do a single prediction for each of the values. I can do a batch prediction where I can literally select my data set. Maybe I have a churn data set on my own, and then I generate predictions on my own. And I can do that within the model. Right, it's generating predictions. In a minute, the predictions will be ready, and I can download the predictions and then take corrective actions for me to talk to those customers who are at risk of churning.
So earlier on we were talking about Canvas in relation to maybe the full SageMaker or ML practitioners, but what you just showed me there in terms of the results, the accuracy, etc., that looks to be they were value to anyone, not just people who maybe don't have ML experience or are just not ML trained.
Absolutely. It was interesting that we started this journey that when we said, hey, maybe it's for the business user, and but what we have learned, and that's the beauty of Amazon AWS, we learn from our customers, we pivot depending on. Customers are telling us, hey, I can even be a machine learning expert. This is still valuable to me. It's just not for the business team. The whole concept of I didn't write any code, but I'm able to get a model and then generate predictions is very valuable.
Cool.
The last point I want to say is I talked about how about the other direction, right? I have built a model in Canvas, and how do I build a model? It's very simple. Say I'm going to quickly build a model. Say I build a model called AWS On Air, right? Let's build it.
I love that you said it's very simple.
That's our that's our positioning, and hopefully that it is simple for the audience here. So I say create a model. The only thing that we ask of customers is bring in your data, right? That's the only thing you need. So I have again a churn data. I can select that data set. I bring in here, then I can see the data the way it is in rows and columns. Now I choose my target column. What is the target column is? What do I really want to do? What is the problem that I'm trying to solve? And here I'm trying to solve a churn problem, whether true or false, whether the customer will churn or not. And Canvas automatically detects that it's a two-category prediction because it's true or false. Now in this, I can also look at, if I'm a visual person, I can look at the distribution of the data in terms of what each of those features within the data have an impact. I can do multiple things. I can even go and build my own scatter plot. Say I want to have an account length, and I want to look at somebody are they doing international minutes, and then I can literally see my scatter plot, a bar chart, or a box plot. So I can explore, understand, analyze the data the way it is. I can even do things like a correlation matrices of what is the dependency of each feature with the other one. So I can literally do all of this within Canvas, right? Now, after that, what do? I just go ahead and say, build the model for me. There are multiple ways of building a model. A quick build is it gives you a model with one round of analysis. A standard build is typically goes through the entire machine learning auto ML cycle. It looks at your hyperparameters and does the entire underlying function so that you get the most accurate model possible. And so I build a model, and that's it. Now this is going to take some time, but I built a model previously where I have it's in draft. That means it's building. But for the purposes of this conversation, I said, I built this model. Let's open this model. I got this model, and then I want to literally get some feedback on this model. I say share. I say whom do I want to share with. I've got a bunch of folks in my organization, and and do the same thing, right? Hey, can you please review, right? And then I click on share, and that's it. And then once I share the model, I say that hey, it has been shared with a Studio user. I come to Studio. and then I look at all the models that have been shared with me, right? And then I can view that model. I can go ahead and update the model and share the model. So
I'm
as
glad you said you could update it, because I was about
Yeah.
to ask you, is that a read-only share, or can the more experienced, let's say I've given this to a more experienced ML practitioner to take a look at, they can make corrections to it. And then
absolutely, they can make corrections to it. They can update the model. They can retrain the model,
Iterate
update
on
the
it,
model,
yeah.
and share it back with the Canvas user. So it's a true two-way collaboration where you stay in your own environment. You don't need to learn machine learning and science. I'm just saying that, and you update the model, train it, and then come back to me. And then, as I said, the discoverability page where it says, where you want to go and share all the models that have been shared with me or shared by me, depending on the direction of the user.
We got a great question on chat. Is it possible to manage a model's hyperparameters, or does Canvas automatically find the best ones?
Great question. On the Canvas side, it automatically finds the best ones. You don't need to do it. But the same model, if you share it with the studio, which I'm sharing here, showing on the screen here, you can go and pick your hyperparameters. But from a Canvas perspective, you don't need to do anything. As I said, the only thing you need to do in Canvas is import your data. That's the only thing you need to do. And then you go click, build a model for me, analyze the model for me, generate the predictions, right? It's as simple as that.
I like simple.
Yeah, I love it.
For sure.
And please check out aws.amazon.com/sagemaker/canvas. Tons of material there. What I showed to you, we have an awesome blog post on the AWS news channel. We have resources in terms of videos. We did a fantastic session at reInvent where we were joined by one of our customers, Samsung, who literally talked about their forecasting model. It was awesome. So if you have not checked it out, please do.
Right. Well, this is cool.
Very cool. Any parting words for our audience who I mean, it sounds very easy to get started. Even if you have no background whatsoever in coding or ML or anything, you just have to have a data set basically to go get started.
Exactly. I think parting words, very easy to get started, as you said, AM. You can even launch. The cool thing about Canvas, which I want to say, is you can even launch Canvas without going through the whole entire AWS console and experience, because not all of us may know all the console, right? So as long as your admin is set up, Canvas supports single sign-on SSO, so you can actually literally open Canvas in the browser and just open it up. I had it in a browser. Just open it up, import your data, and off you go. You don't even need to know machine learning, and you get a fully trained, fully managed machine learning model for your use.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Shyam, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We hope to see you again. And our next segment, guess what? We're going to be talking more SageMaker. Yeah. So,
awesome.
but we have to move on to the next segment.